Skybox here. So, some news on EA's progress with NCAA Football 24 here came out. Shout out to Extra Points with Matt Brown here. I'll link the article in the description. He went through it. If you guys don't know what FOIAs are, they're basically requests to public institutions, taxpayer funded stuff, Freedom of Information Act, to release all records based off of, certain subject or whatnot, right? So based off those filings, there's been like some, messages gone back and forth between universities and EA. EA put out like certain requests, certain documents, certain timeframes, plans and whatnot. And like there's a ton of news actually released due to this. So the released EA scheduling or targeting is July of 2023 as of now. Now, there's been a lot of rumors like, hey, maybe it'll come out in like winter of 23, but like EA said, like, it's a decent 2-year time frame for video game development. We know a lot of Madden developers have already shifted over, which is interesting to say that because Madden's a 1-year development. So maybe we should go to 2 studios of Madden here, EA, if it's a 2-year time frame to develop games here. So anyways, I kind of like it, right? If the release is July of 23 and it goes July going forward, and then maybe they even move it up to June-ish, but like it was always like that back in the day because you'd be allowed to play like NCAA for a little bit, get your dynasty going, and then get your draft classes drafting. You get that export, you say they put it on their save file, and then when you boot up Madden in late August or so, you're able to import those draft classes or import your creative player over to Madden and continue your superstar mode. So I really like that they're going back to like the old release schedule because they were moving up Madden continually up until like the pandemic, right? We saw like Madden 20 launch end up like being like decent time in July there, and then with the pandemic obviously pushed it back. So it looks like that will probably be the schedule forward for EA. Is we're going from July NCAA, August Madden, since we're getting Madden in August, about mid-August again this year, the 16th or so. So it is cool to see, an actual like, FOIA, dedicate like actual news on the subject that's from a reliable source, because there's so many rumors and speculation out there about this game itself. So I like that. I like that. Now, EA and what they're going for, what they want from the schools, obviously is not just likenesses, the school mascots, logos, stadiums. They're looking for like players. They're looking for really, how to make this atmosphere impressive, because I think that was one of the biggest complaints of the last few years with Madden. Like, there's no refs on the field. There's nothing like that. Like, they did like, custom fans last year, and everybody's like, what's going on with that? And I think like that was one of the strengths of NCAA back in the day, was the fact that there was a lot of atmosphere to go around in the college, right? If you guys remember, like there was like the pump up the crowd meter, and like it'd be going crazy if you were winning, and like your opponents wouldn't be able to hear and stuff, and like freshmen would break under the pressure of a packed house going insane. So it's really cool that EA is like looking for like stadium assets and how to make like certain colleges unique, because like every single college seems to have their own sort of tradition, whether it's songs or something or chants. Like I was just like looking through YouTube videos and stuff, top 20 college chants here on the screen. We got like everything from like the hospital at Iowa. So like between like different quarters, different songs they go. We got the Tomahawk Chop, South Carolina Sandstorm, Take Me Home, Country Roads. Now obviously getting a song like that for a video game is going to be kind of expensive, so we'll see how dedicated EA is to bringing the authenticity into the game and how much copyright music they can end up doing. But you might as well spend it, blow it out in the first year if you're kind of really looking for that like immersive atmosphere to kind of bring gamers into a series. Although, I mean, to be fair, just the hype alone on the series should sell it for the foreseeable future, because people are like, we haven't had an NCAA game in, was it 8 years now or so, since 14. So I think that's kind of cool that EA is really looking into the authenticity, because we got the game mode of NCAA football in Madden, right? We have certain players, well, technically legends, not current players. We have certain like rights to different universities in Madden right now that we can kind of play. So it's cool that they're kind of like going with that, but like even more in depth, and that's what they're really focusing in, is on that atmosphere that we've talked about. So and more things, like not just like the audios. They're asking for like spirit stickers, like Ohio State uses. Like first week it'll be empty, then November should be full of them. So I really do enjoy kind of like all the small things. I feel like games are definitely sold off like the small important parts of like a detail, right? Like that, like the edge cases. Like, who doesn't love edging like that? Where we get to like, you find this one little screen that like almost nobody's talked about. And you're like, whoa, what's this? And you share it on social media. It's like, wow, that's quite a lot of attention to detail, and that's kind of neat to find that kind of stuff in gaming. So I think like a big obstacle obviously will be the getting the NCAA athletes permissions and stuff, because like with the NFLPA and a lot of player associations, MLB, NBA, that kind of stuff, it's all one group kind of negotiating together outside of like certain people that pull out of it, like Barry Bonds and MLB's pulled out of that stuff back in the day. That's why we never had his, but like most players are in the collective bargaining group. Right, and so like NCAA doesn't really have that right now because they've never really had that. I know there's like a little formation a few years ago with, I think it was at Northwestern players wanting to get together and form like a union. So like if like maybe they can have some large group, some union together for NCAA players, would be a lot easier for EA, because right now they're gonna have to track down a lot of these players individually. They could like go to like have a representative go to like early training camps across the nation and try and get people to sign on, and how are they going to get paid? There's a lot of like logistics to sort out still with how this is all going down, because it's going to be hard to get it all done year one, or I guess year two, whatever, into 2 years development in this with like the NIL and everything. So it will be on the interesting side to see how many players EA ends up signing. Whether they're just going for the rock stars, the big names. Like, are some of the big names gonna ask for too much money? EA might not be able to afford them, or like obviously EA can afford them, but like you're only given so much money by your boss, and how much can they spend on one player? Like, will like Bryce out of Alabama want like $1 million? Because EA won't be able to play that for him and then afford the rest of the players. So there's a lot of that negotiation going around. Hopefully they will be able to get some sort of big group together, because there already are group licenses coming together for NCAA, as alluded to in the article. And maybe it'll be tricky with so many different ones, but that's for EA to work out, not for us. So it's interesting also, according to the 2021 memo, such a game would also not include ability to edit rosters. Because if you remember NCAA games back in the day, before they could use players' names and likenesses, all they did was like halfback number 22 or something like that. A lot of time and effort went into getting like PlayStation memory cards, or later on download rosters, and basically people did it for free, right? That they'd update their rosters, they put it out there to like accurately represent who's on each team, because you can edit names, edit attributes, edit everything about them, likenesses, of course. So NCAA game not getting the ability to edit rosters due to legal reasons, because like if they don't pay for somebody, but then like on the game you can edit, and there's like hundreds of thousands of download of like one roster that has players that aren't necessarily signed on and paid for. Could cause a little bit of legal trouble for EA. I think is what they're worried about. Who knows? That they've been sued for similar things with their legend teams, their classic teams in Madden in the past, where they had that. Also got sued by NCAA guys too for not paying them for that same thing. So anyways, another interesting thing is like the different schools, depending on what tier they're in, are going to get paid based off how good they are, right? Like based off AP top 25 finishes over the last 10 years. Like if you're like a really good school, like say you're Alabama, Ohio State, or something like that, probably in the tier 1 getting over $100,000 a year, and like some like bottom feeder schools only getting $10,000 might be a little bit saltier for that money, because they're not good. And everybody's greedy, right? Everybody wants more money. The institutions want more money. That's just like college football is business. So I could see them getting a little angry at only getting $10,000 when a lot of their other teams are going against might get like 40, 60, or 100K for the same thing, just for the rights and everything. But I don't know. There's a certain part of marketing. Like if you're not included in the NCAA game, why would somebody want to go to your school? Because everyone wants to play themselves in a video game, right? Like if you're like on the edge of D1, and like you're like, yeah, we're not in the video game that you've probably put many hours into as a youth. Like, oh, well, if I'm not gonna be in the game, I'm just going to go to this other school that is in the game. So even though it's only $10,000, the marketing right there is probably worth way more than the $10,000 itself, or 40, 62K itself. So interesting. EA confirmed DLC will also be a part of the game. That creates additional revenue streams that will be shared with participating institutions, incremental revenue above resources. They'll also share it with athletes as well. So like, this obviously means Ultimate Team game mode. You know, college football had an Ultimate Team game mode right before it went away, like I said, in 14. So what are they going to do? Because in Madden's, you know, their biggest struggle with licenses over the last, you know, year or so with their college, like they can't allow them to be an Ultimate Team, right? Like that, the college mode has to be outside of it. A lot of universities, you know, with long shot and stuff, or face the franchise, whatever they call it, they don't want the college, and then we've seen news articles, the colleges don't want to be an Ultimate Team, correct? Because there's controversy around it. But like, will controversy overtake the amount of money they can make off an Ultimate Team in NCAA football? We'll see what's to be headed down the road. Like, what if like a major university is okay with the game but not being an Ultimate Team? Would that major university be like, yeah, but no? And then how would your Ultimate Team, like, they could potentially make Ultimate Team just custom uniforms and like MLB The Show, so you can just like make your own uniforms. That way they don't have to worry about colleges necessarily being in Ultimate Team, but you can just design a uniform and then you can just make whatever your favorite team is, right? Penn State uniforms if they don't want to be in it, for example. So there are those other options that EA can kind of work around if teams want to be in the game, or universities want to be in the game, but they don't want to be an Ultimate Team, because really you're just selling like the certain players and their likenesses, so you could pay them specifically if they're okay being an Ultimate Team, and then like whatever legends you bring in, like whether you bring in, you know, Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, I don't know, whatever ones you pay probably in Madden, you'll probably also want to bring the NCAA, since I think every single player in Madden right now was also an NCAA player at one point. So that's kind of that's kind of like the news and what's going on with NCAA. A ton of info drop. Shout out again to that Matt Brown at Extra Points. So that's it for the video. I hope you guys liked it. Please like it if you did. Please subscribe to the channel. Really helps it out. Use code GutFox at Underdog Fantasy. And that is it. Thanks for watching Call to Action. I will see you tomorrow.